All right, thank you guys for tuning back in. I'm going to go over our proposed solutions next and kind of the cost with that, and then we'll dive into some other pieces as well. So this is the proposed solution that you have seen. You will notice that what this looks like compared to the one that was in the community survey. There's a number of differences in the amount of yellow that you've seen, the amount of that's light renovation or heavy renovation is the yellow, how much heavy renovation we have around. We've shifted more of that into light where we could, and we did cut the size of our new construction. So our old new construction as well. Um, we had a large section out of the front of this new addition where we were going to house a district office and a middle school, high school office, and we've actually shifted that as well into heavy renovation and moved that inside of the building. We cut the size of the gym as much as we possibly could to save some money, and then there's a significantly amount less yellow across the school district and less, or kind of it turned into gray, and we shifted some gray as well, which is light renovation. So I want to go through this in a little more detail and also talk about some of the other components that maybe we haven't talked as much about kind of through this that isn't necessarily colored. So one, this all starts with safety and security and connecting our middle school and high school to improve those aspects and how we flow and how students are flowing through both of these buildings, two classes, whatever it might be, and putting in a safe, secure entrance. So right here, we would put in this door bank, but we would move and we shifted to sort of cut some of the costs down. Our district office stays up at the elementary school where it currently is, so we don't have to build that down here. And then we shift our middle school, high school office into this space, which is currently the wood shops. It already has a big bay door here currently to make this entry more efficient and easier for us to do via renovation. But we would be able to house both middle school and high school secretary in here, but then specialize them. So one would be doing the attendance for both the middle school and high school and all the normal building level secretary duties, while the other can be focusing more on the transportation, the activities, whatever other duties we have across the district um, to help kind of specialize and get more productivity out for our district. So that would all be housed here. So you would be able to buzz in, get checked in, and then but after that visual check, get your pass. Then our secretary could let that person in the rest of the way. So the office moves ultimately here. So then we go into this kind of transition, and I think it makes more sense to kind of start over here with the kitchen. So I'm going to go on a number order because number order just kind of spins from inside out. But really, this starts with one, the kitchen. So, like I talked about with the technology infrastructure, right here we have a room that has all of our fiber optic equipment, our servers, our switches, our telephone lines for the entire district to come in here. And right here next to them in the same room is a set of freezers. And those two large walk-in freezers are at odds with each other with the technology equipment over here. So we need to shift that. We need to shift our freezers and put a wall between them so that we can separate these two and have different environments in our kitchen and our technology room. With that as well, our kitchen is vastly undersized. A lot of the equipment is, again, original to 1964. It is losing a ton of energy just because it's from 1964. Not to say they don't last, because they definitely have, lasted 60 years. Some of those parts we just sold the old ovens from 1964 a year and a half ago. We were still using them in the district and got rid of them and got new ones in place with a grant that we had gotten there. So we need to expand this as well. And in doing that, to make this the appropriate sized kitchen that we need to serve a population like we have to push this out into the commons. So you can kind of see this goes like a third to a half of the way into the current seating area of our commons, which kind of takes over this space that we have for eating in our high school. So then we look at where we can replace that. And there's only one place that can house, one lunch period for our high school and then one lunch period for our middle school. And that would be right here, that space big enough in this area. At the same time, there's only one space that would be large enough for our band that is under a current building that we have. So a band room can go into this other part of our current gymnasium. So in this, our current gymnasium, to best utilize our spaces, we're moving our band, which is back here, into the back half of this current space, of that current gymnasium, and the other half becomes a multi-purpose cafeteria and performing area. So this is really just a cafeteria. Oh, that also has our current stage on it. We're not going to do anything crazy here other than putting a ramp into that stage, opening it up a little bit so we could get the full band up there if we wanted to keep the band performing in this area. There would be some seating in the wall so that we could pull this down, and that amount of seating capacity would be roughly the same as what we have gotten in the full gymnasium when we do performances as well. But we can pull that seating back when we're not having anything in there, and we have tables in here so we can house the entire high school in one lunch here, where they're getting their food from their kitchen and they're just coming into this cafeteria space. The band room here would have practice rooms along this wall to eliminate noise pollution flowing from one room to the other, but we would be able to get our entire band in here and have this as an appropriately sized band room for our students. That then takes us, if we do this here, we lose our current high school gymnasium, and then that gives us the possibility now of relocating it here, but making it just large enough, not overly large by any means, but just large enough so that we could host regional finals when our kids earn the right to have them. It could host youth tournaments where we have 8 or 12 different teams here versus just the 3 or 4 that we're able to currently house. And again, in those types of settings, if they're a youth tournament, you're getting hundreds of people here, coming to our community on Saturdays, who are then going to use our gas stations, go to our stores, stop and get lunch or coffee, whatever it might be at our restaurants or coffee shops, but bringing in a lot of additional possibilities to our whole area, community as a whole. But ultimately, we're using this gymnasium space better, and then we're able to relocate our gymnasium to this space in between. 5 would end up being our community fitness center. So here, moving our fitness center from the back, which is undersized, into this space, which is one up front, easier access for our community, more lit, more visible, but now also appropriately sized to be able to serve our students and our community better, have more equipment in here, more accessibility, a lot more possibility here. 6 the kitchens, 7. So then also, since we took up this space now for our wood shop, we're moving it over here into this auto shop. This also gives us about 500 square feet more room for our wood shop. We have access to a lift that's already installed that swings. So now we can look at more manufacturing style work where we can pick up projects, move them from one area of the shop to the next. We have a larger bay door here, so we could build full-size walls now inside of our shop, put them on a trailer, and drive them right out to, if we're going to build a shed or we're going to build, a house, hopefully down the road, something cool like that. We can, potentially put them on the back of this and drive out full-size, artifacts or things that we have built straight through there. And this also gives us, because of how high the ceilings are, you could put potentially like a mezzanine structure up here for more storage, equipment, and really focus this whole area now in tech ed. So we have a central classroom, we have our welding shop over here, we have our wood shop over here. We can have cross collaboration in terms of projects, how we're utilizing these different fields, able to monitor them. Our teacher, who has a crazy workload in all these different classes, is able to set up for classes and keep them set up kind of throughout the day because they're in the same location, and able to monitor those pieces as well. At the end of the day, we're able to teach all these underlying skills. We're able to really dive into manufacturing and what it looks like, and really prepare our students for success moving forward. 8 is our library. So we want to combine our library. Right now, having 3 different libraries and only having one true librarian and one librarian aide, we're not able to house a person in each one of these spaces. So currently we get really good coverage at our elementary school through our librarian and our aide. Our middle school, we get 1 period a day from our librarian down here in this library. And then our high school, we don't get librarian coverage during the school day. A teacher just would have to help check out books, or a study hall person would help check out books, but that's it. By combining this, we can now house this with an aide and have somebody there that can help students access books, do technology type of stuff. We're expanding this both to the right and to the left to get more space in the library, and also making sure that it is handicap accessible in here. And in doing that, that gives us a lot of possibilities over in our middle school. So I'll kind of jump across the way. Here, we're able to shift some things. So because we cut the daycare piece. We have a little more space and we can shift things around. And by moving our library over to the high school, this now can become a true 21st century learning space. So you're going to see more furniture in here that can be shifted from large group to small group. You're going to see more technology type of stuff around this room where our students can work together on projects, think design more, think creatively with one another, and have really a unique space. We know that that is a great option at our elementary school. We have those 3 to 5 pods, the K2 or the pre-K to 2 pod. And that's a really a great space located in the center of those spaces. Now, by taking this and we've kind of put a spin on it, making this 21st century learning space really designed for middle school level. So now we have this extra technology component. Maybe there's green screens in here. There's maybe a 3D printer, stuff like that. It just gives us a ton of possibility to really expand the minds, of our children here in our middle school in different ways. We're going to be shifting classrooms kind of around. We would be shifting our English and literacy classes over here because this is a non-load bearing wall. They do a lot currently collaboratively, so we'd be able to open this wall up to again allow more 21st century type of learning, more interventions for our students, and give us a lot more possibility by putting them in these 2 rooms and then opening that wall up. Our special education would move into the current middle school office that has access to water heater, sink, its own private bathroom is located in here for that special education classroom. And then we're just kind of repurposing some of these areas as well. We would have some flexibility with the spaces that we do have in here. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but in kind of shifting things and how we've moved stuff, we would have a teacher workroom in one of these spaces. We would be able to have a conference room over here in our middle school as well. So we could meet with parents, families, and in this space over here in the middle school. A lot of this as well, to kind of get into more of the details, this would become locker room space. We would be shifting some locker room space at our high school, one for band storage, another for kind of athletic. So like football would have a locker room access that would be able to go right to the field over here. And then our same thing with like our softball or our spring sports could have outdoor locker room access kind of over here. But then because we're shifting these locker room spaces and we have additional space here, and how we have repurposed some of it. We would have a middle school boys and girls locker room, and then a high school boys and girls locker room, and then this could all flow into the gymnasiums that we have in this area. That flows from there. 9. Okay, I'll come to the high school in a second. So 9 addresses our district-wide building maintenance. So everything across the district is still being done in our capital maintenance plan. We are addressing that. That has to come first. We have to maintain these buildings for many years to come. So even at the elementary school, while we did cut the renovations that were at the middle school, at the elementary school, we did cut the renovations at the elementary school. We are keeping all of the capital maintenance, so all the HVAC needs, the infrastructure needs, the windows that need to be replaced, the doors, the framing, the stoops that are shifting. All of that is still being addressed at the elementary school. So everything, elementary, middle, high school, parking lots, all of that is still being addressed in this plan. And a majority of this, a lot of this plan is just the general upkeep of our buildings. And that is in number 9, which is not on this chart. And then 10 is working on traffic flow in some of the parking lots. So a note on this, this current parking lot that exists over here, it's not really touched here. It doesn't show here because it's a part of the capital maintenance plan. This entire parking lot would be redone after we fix some groundwater issues. But that whole parking lot will still exist. We have parking right out here currently. In front of the building. That parking again would still exist but get redone. And then this is where we're physically altering and creating kind of new parking. So we would expand this out a little bit. This would not interfere with the football field. That would still be able to function. We would add some spaces here. We'd add some like parallel spaces in the back as well, but make this a traversable area, a traversable road, so that we could potentially have bus drop off in the front, and then have parent drop off and pick up in the back, keeping them separated as we drop off and pick up students before or after school here. And the other thing we haven't talked about is kind of some of the shifting here. And I think I touched, on most of it, but just to make sure on the other little pieces as we go. So we would be moving choir into our current band space and doing some light renovation there to make that ideal. And that would be big enough to house our choir students. It would have the practice rooms off the back. Our current fitness center that exists in the back would just become our health classroom over here. And then we would have some shifting of classrooms We would do renovation in our family consumer science room. That is very, very original. It has the same electric. It has outlets that are, really designed for the sewing tables section of that, which we don't do as much in family consumer science. The kitchen itself is 1964, nice kind of, I don't know that green, but really 1964 green, teal cabinets, metal cabinets are in there currently, and older stoves. Bringing that up to today's family consumer science standard um, in here. And then kind of shifting just the academic spaces and classrooms. We would have a conference room because we'd be losing the conference room in the library, shift into one of these spaces. And then our academic wing remains here. Even though things are white on here, doesn't mean that they won't get some level of love in this process. They will still get some furnishings. They still will get walls painted and the kind of cosmetic stuff done, but not true light or heavy renovation in these spaces. We're not moving any walls, anything like that. Just making them better spaces for our students. In a very cheap fashion, if you will. All right, so that is the proposed solution. The cost of that fell down from I think 22.3 or 20.7 was our previous number for our survey. This new plan is 19.5 million, so we got that down significantly. New construction is 8.6 million, with the renovations and capital maintenance and site work at 10.9 million. And this does house all of the capital maintenance for the entire school district. And a lot of this is cheaper to do when you're doing it with the renovation, because as we open a wall, it's a lot easier to get to certain components, fix electric, HVAC, all that kind of stuff, while we're actually moving something or renovating something. So kind of knocking all that out at the same time. That's the overall investment. And then this next video, I'll talk about kind of the debt process and what this all looks like.